So let's see. There we go. Okay. It should be starting up. Let me see if it started on Twitch. There we go. Okay, folks. Originally, we were supposed to talk about the scalability and limits of Postgres on Kubernetes.
We have the guy here that knows a lot about Kubernetes. We have an expert.
Okay, so we were calling an audible, and we are changing that. And there is a conference. Charlie, why don't you tell us where the conference is, who's there, what are you speaking about, and introduce the team.
Hey, well, yeah, it's great having you again. So we have a Postgres conference in Brazil. It's PGConf Brazil. The PGConf Brazil is the largest one in Latin America, right? So we are coming back after those long years with COVID, and so it's great to be here together again, and for a conference and talking to people again. And we are here with some friends from Percona. So let me start in here. We have Marcelo from engineering.
Hello everyone. How are you guys doing?
We have Fernando.
Hello everyone.
Introduce yourself.
I'm from the consulting team, the Percona, the professional services team.
And we have Leonardo.
Hello, I'm from the support team.
Yeah, those are the guys that help us to make the database world a better world to live, right? To make it's awesome. So we're gonna have two talks here from Percona this year on the PGConf here in Brazil. My talk would be about disaster recovery. So, okay, I dropped my database. Now what? What can we do to recover the database after you drop the database? What can be done? How can solve those things? How can fix the problem? My colleague Agustin, that's not here yet, he also gonna have a talk. He'll talk about how to efficiently deploy database on cloud, right? So if you need to spin up a database for a quick and fast testing environment, or if you for development environment, even from some small productions of things. So how can we do that quickly and easily? That's gonna be his talk here in the conference. The conference is gonna start tomorrow. I'm not sure whether I'm gonna double check with them, but we're probably gonna have a lot of recordings here, a lot of talks. They're gonna be recorded and streamed, and I highly recommend it because there are really great talks here, high level talks. A lot of people from all of the around the world are talking here on this conference this year. That's it. That's our introduction, Dave. So, what do you want to talk today? Yeah. Okay, let me show a little bit around here of the conference. I think okay, I got my video back. So we are setting up our booth here. This is a little bit around of the conferences. Out there, and we have the main room here. Let's walk. So this is the main conference room. So our talks, Agustin talks and my talk, gonna be held here. So it's a nice environment. So we have plenty of space. We hope we're going. Back here we have a space. Do something here for the conference, for the database. These are for the organizers. We have extra. Oops. We almost got an accident. couple of sessions here held on those small rooms. And yeah, that things. So as I said, we're gonna start tomorrow. So we have here with all those amazing companies, AWS, VMware, TeamViewer from Brazil, CyberTech, Percona, Postgres, Timescale, for Linux, amazing companies there. Amazing conference. We have this guy lying down here. This is one of the organizers. You're live now. You're talking to the world. Yeah. So
context, please.
We have this bi-weekly call live that we talk about data, about Postgres, not only about database.
Okay.
And today, as we are in the conference here, I'm showing them that we're going to have an amazing Postgres conference now held in Brazil.
Okay. With
and
Percona guys?
Yeah, also with Percona guys. And yeah, and not only Percona guys, but yeah, we do have some Percona guys.
It's a.
And this one.
Great to see you. Hope to see to see our friends tomorrow. Oh, in fact, tonight at dinner.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
have dinner with speakers.
We're gonna have a dinner.
And or secret speakers.
Secret speakers.
Yeah, we'll have gifts. Brazilian love to change gifts. Tomorrow we start with Bruce Moja, who is here. He is our guest, and we make the first speech tomorrow.
Oh.
And also we are creating a Brazilian association, Postgres, and we will do this tomorrow too. So we have a lot of talks, interesting, including this guy who is hanging the phone.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. So will be great time, great beer, and good talks.
Awesome, amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Yeah, and that's it, Mr. David. So yeah, this is around the conference here. So, and how are you doing there? Do you guys have questions for us today?
If this survive with me, anyone? Hey, como é que tá aí, cara? Yeah.
Hey, Dave, you there?
Hopefully you can hear me now.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah, I won't embarrass Bruce Momjen by talks of our first trip to Brazil 10 years ago or so, when we were both down there in July and didn't realize it was winter in in the southern part of Brazil. But
yeah,
it was fun. So give us the highlights of your talk for tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, let me get a quieter place because it's a bit noisy here. But definitely, so what we're gonna talk tomorrow. So as I said, Agustin gonna talk about efficiently deploying databases. So he built this tool that helps with deploying the databases. So, and you can really easily deploy Postgres database. And you can deploy a cluster, let's say, with a primary and two replicas. And it's quite helpful when you have, for example, a test environment that you want to build quickly, or for developers, we want the database, the Postgres database running really fast, right? So we want to just deploy the database, and you can use this tool. It's open source, it's on GitHub, and he's gonna talk about and I can show how those things work using his tool. My talk is gonna be on Saturday, the day after tomorrow. So I'm gonna talk about disaster. I sort of like talk about disasters, right? So I'm going to talk about database drop. So the title of my talk is, okay, I dropped my database. Now what? So what can you do, right? So can we use backups? Can we use a point-in-time recovery? And if we can use a point-in-time recovery, how does it work? How does it work internally, right? So we'll try to scare people so they don't drop tables and don't drop database, right? Unless extremely necessary. That's the idea. So you need to be scared about of dropping database. That's not good. That's not good. So, and also you try to show them some alternatives or some ways that you can recover from a disaster. Okay, disaster happens, right? So I'm doing my maintenance at 1 p.m. I don't have enough coffee, and instead of drop table A, I drop a table B. Oh goodness, how can I recover that table? All right. So, or maybe you have a bug in your system. So, and you just realize that the system is deleting, not really dropping the table, but deleting rows, right? And you only have the backup from yesterday midnight. Well, now here is around 1 p.m. So from midnight to 1 p.m., you have like 13 hours. You may have 13 hours of data loss. How can we get that data back, right? This is going to be what we're going to talk about tomorrow. I'm going to drop one database, drop one table to show people, look, don't do it. Don't drop your database. But I'll try to recover. I hope it works. I don't really like live demos because it usually, it usually doesn't work. But I have good faith. I have good faith. And that's going to be the talk for tomorrow.
I always wondered why the database vendors never put in fail safes. You type in drop database, it comes up with a pop-up saying, do you really want to drop this database? Well, yeah. Yeah. Are you really, really sure? Yeah. Will you sign this dotted line here for your legal team? Yeah.
I'm going to ask once more time. Is this the right database? No, I agree. I totally agree with you. Because it's surprisingly crazily easy to drop a database, right? There's no confirmation. Some databases like Postgres, we have some, let's say, put advantages because everything is transactional on Postgres. So if you are lucky enough to open the transaction before you do the drop database, for example, you can just roll back. That's okay. But other databases, they don't have that facility. Like drop operations or create operations, DDL operations, they are not transactional in a lot of other databases, right?
Yeah.
But still, if you don't open the transaction, you are on the same place. There's nothing to do. Okay, the database offers you the facility, but it's an opt-in. You need to opt to use that facility. And I totally agree. Like, those operations, they should have a lot. They should be complicated to do, right? They should be hard to do. Ask you like 5-7 times. You sure? I'm gonna ask you again. Look, this is the database name. Do you want to drop? Yeah, that's great.
Well, MySQL used to have something called I am a dummy or a novice node, where you could set up accounts and automatically they wouldn't let you do things like drops or run select statements without a where clause. And I always thought, that's kind of like training wheels on your shell account, and I kind of like that. And maybe you don't really get the drop. Okay, well, we'll just let you ignore that table. You're not really dropping it. Other people can keep using it until someone, some adult comes along and signs off on it.
It reminds me when I started with development long time ago. One of the first project that I worked was with Clipper, right? And they use it. How was the name of the database? And they had an internal one that language used. I really forgot the name of the database. It was very simplistic, but they have those features that you couldn't, from the interface, you couldn't really drop or delete the table. So all of those operations, they were large operations. So it was DBase, the database was DBase 3.
DBase 2, or 3, yeah.
Exactly. And all of them were large operations, right? So you send a delete, a drop command, it should just mark as dropped. If you wanted to really, really drop it, you needed to access the administration interface and do a pack. So that will really remove. So if you did a mistakenly drop, you could just go to the interface and unmark, and it will be my back. right?
Well,
That was a safe, really good safe measure.
well, ironically, many years ago, I had a friend who was doing small business development, and he bought this database product that he found called Vulkan. And the guy who wrote Vulkan called him up 2 weeks later and said, "We're changing the name to DBase 2. It sounds a little bit better." And for many, many years, this guy, he was the last consultant in Southern California on DBase 2. And it was amazing how much real business actually got done on this tiny database. And now we have these huge databases, and they're still letting you shoot yourself in the foot by dropping tables. So
yeah, that's true.
now in the real old days, if you were doing something dumb on a computer, and these were slow disk drives that actually spun around, you could actually halt the machine and keep it from doing that. But that's not been the norm for close to 35 years now. Me badly showing my age. So what are the other talks going on at this show?
We have many talks, like as Fabio Teles said, we have the one from Bruce. We have some folks from VMware and AWS. They're also going to talk about. We're going to have talks about how to use explains, right? So this is one that I'm really interested in, and how the explain works on Postgres, and how to really read and use the explain things. A lot of it's confusing. That's the right word to say on Postgres. And explain on Postgres is really confusing, and a lot of people they don't really understand how it works. And it's not like MySQL, for example, that you read it explain on the top down, right? On the Postgres, it's organized by indentation, and it's confusing, right? Let's say honest.
And you have to reverse move to find out what indexes are being used. I have a talk next month in Amsterdam at the Uptime conference on explaining explain. And for someone who comes from a MySQL background predominantly, I thought, boy, there's a lot of neat information in here. I mean, YAML output, who does YAML output from explain? But I was kind of mystified. Okay, what indexes am I using, and how do I force an index? And there's no forcing of an index.
There's no there are no index hints, exactly.
Yeah. So you basically turn off the type of join that they're doing, turn off hash joins and try it that way. And there's no optimizer hints. I was watching a talk this morning about the lady who's writing the norm interface, which is not a ORM type piece of software. And she says, don't ever do that. That's a horrible thing to do. And since she has more experience than I do, I'll have to defer to her. What other exciting things are at this show? I mean, Bruce Momgen, that's Mr. Excitement in the Postgres world. I mean, what else is going on there?
I know, people start arriving today, right? The conference really starts tomorrow. And then most of the people, they probably going to start arriving today evening time. This city is close to São Paulo. It's not really in the São Paulo city, but it's in the state of São Paulo. So it's around 2 hours driving here from the São Paulo airport. So it will probably take some time for the people to start arriving. But we have a lot of things planned for the whole conferences. They still build, they're still organizing here. You see all the chairs around here. You see those, I don't know how they call those things. I think for people to lie down here and sleep or whatever.
Bag sofas, yeah.
Yeah, they're not really sofas.
It's like canoes, yeah.
It's air inside here. Yeah, it's floated by air. I have no idea how they call. We have other rooms here for the books and some trains. For the conference, we're gonna have audio earlier. We also gonna have other small rooms. We're gonna have these, and also gonna have.
Whoops. Charlie dropped off for a second. Here he goes. He's back. Yeah.
You know, it's like a round table of discussions, and everybody has some voice. If you can just come here, hey, I want to talk, and you go there, get like 5 minutes, and bring your thing. It should be a lot of fun, right? I'm having like really good expectations. We're probably gonna have some sort of shows, or I don't know, here on this fence area they're building here, probably for music or sort of kind of things. And yeah,
Whoops. There we go.
oh,
Well,
well,
many years ago, I was at a Fizzly show. Oops. And
yeah, it was.
And I was
in the
amazed at
south.
how much music there was there on the show floor, including an impromptu sing along, which I've never had at any other show. So
Those are the guys organizing our booth. Yes.
yeah, it looks like skilled labor there.
Yeah, skilled labor. You know, so somebody has to work, right? And I'm so happy that sometimes not me. So somebody has to work.
Yeah, well, it's nice to know our support engineers have backup skills that go beyond databases.
Yeah, that's true, and they're quite skilled.
So, what sort of swag do you have? It looks like you have boxes of swag back there. Anything
We
interesting?
do. Good question. We do here. So we have some squeezes, some Percona squeezes here. Different colors. I think we have 4 or 5 powerful ones. We still have some stuff to arrive here, but we have Percona mugs.
Very nice.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty nice. We have some pens and other things. The stickers, they're on the way. We have some nice. Oops, my bad. We have some nice pens here. You can clearly see that I'm very skilled with this camera, right? We have. Looks like I'm switching connections here. We have those things, and we have a. Looks like we have a shadow connection here. I see myself going and come back on the connection.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. When it comes. Okay, I'm probably gonna move our booth a little bit more here to be on a more stable connection. But we do have a lot of stuff for the event. So we're gonna have a monitor screen here to show a PMM demo, right? So idea to show some PMM demo, also talk to people about the deploys and the builds and all this kind of stuff. And it should be a lot of fun.
Cool.
I have really good expectations for the conference.
So, what is the Postgres community like in Brazil? Is it growing? Is it popular?
growing.
Is it? Oh.
And here we go again. No, yeah. Yeah. Every time that I move to another place, looks like we have those APs and switching the connections, and it's just okay. So no, the community is growing. One thing that we're gonna do during the conference is we are organizing the border for the community, right? So we're gonna have the presidents, the VPs, and all this kind of stuff. So we're organizing an institute as well for the community. So we will have an official community. Because at the moment we have some people that they take the initiative and organize the conference, for example. But we came to a point that we need to have more formal, something more formal, just like we have the PG US, the PG Europe, and PG Asias and those things. So we are also organizing the PG Brazil, right? The PG User Group Brazil. And this is one thing that we're planning to to take out of the from the conference. During the conference, we're going to have a couple of talks, a couple of meetings with people that are interested. We're going to go for votings. So, and that's the idea. And also, another idea is to start planning the events, the conferences, more in advance. For example, we want to decide the places for the conference for the next next 2 years. Okay, we're going to be held the next year and the week after. And so we start planning a lot better, and also marketing and everything, right? Mm-hmm. But it's growing, and actually I'm surprised by the number of attendees that we're expecting for this year. That's around 300, especially because we're coming from COVID, right? We're coming from COVID, and Brazil suffered a lot for COVID. It got a huge strike, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a community conference. It's not held by a large corporation. We don't have that a lot of money to do marketing and all this kind of stuff, and we still got like around 300 attendees. It's a really good. It says something. It says something about the database. It says something about the community of the database that we have, right? And I'm really happy. I'm pretty happy that we're getting those capillarities around here. We want for the next events to make it more, how to say, to get to the people that are not so close to those central areas, right? So to make it the conference more for the people itself, because one of the main points of an open source project is to be able to achieve those people that they have really low results. They don't they need to get on the market and all this kind of stuff, right? So if you can share knowledge, if you can share opportunities for those people, I think this is one thing that we really need to do with it, and we're trying to. So there are some great people helping, right? As we see, like the events, it's getting like really well done. So it is a lot of effort. Of course, that is a lot of effort. This year, I helped with the committee to choose the talks. Mm-hmm. Right. We have amazing ones, really good talks, as I said, for really good people around the world, like people well-known, people from the community. We have people coming from Europe, from the US, Asia for the personal talks. Mm-hmm. And it's been a lot of work. It's been exhausting, but it's great when you see things start to happen and things. It's really amazing.
Cool. So next year we could be in Porto Alegre or Bahia or Copacabana Beach, huh?
Yeah, well, that's the idea. You're right. Not only São Paulo. It's not that I don't like São Paulo. Well, actually, yeah, not that I don't like São Paulo. But if you could go like for Bahia, Porto Alegre, some beach place, warmer place. Now we are just as you mentioned. Now we are in the winter time here. So if you could go for Northeast Brazil, that's a lot warmer. That would be perfect.
Okay, well, you have my vote. Anything else you want to cover?
No, I'm all good for today.
Okay, well, thank you very much for giving this insight to the Postgres Brazil conference. We'll be back in 2 weeks on something a little more serious, probably not too much more serious, but it will be there. So
we'll try to.
So if you're in the neighborhood, drop in and see Charlie. If not, tune back in 2 weeks. And thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure as always.
It was great talking to you. It's always a pleasure talking to you.